You ever see a headline about a huge company like Toyota building a massive new factory somewhere like Texas? Well, that's way more than just a business deal. It's actually a super powerful economic force in action. And that factory, that's a perfect example of what we're talking about today: foreign direct investment.
So, what is foreign direct investment, or FDI, exactly? Well, it's basically when a company from one country makes a really substantial long-term investment in another. The key phrases to remember here are long-term relationship and significant control. This isn't about playing the stock market for a quick buck. It's about setting up shop, building and managing operations in a foreign country for the long haul.
And this distinction is really important, so let's clear it up right now. Think about it this way. FDI is like deciding to buy and manage an entire apartment building yourself. You're in control. Portfolio investment, on the other hand, is like buying a few shares of the real estate company that owns the building. See the difference? One is about active, long-term control, and the other is a more passive, short-term play for financial return.
All right, today we're going to break down the 4 key economic catalysts that make countries fight so hard to attract this kind of investment. We're talking capital, jobs, technology, and competition. This is our roadmap.
First up, capital and infrastructure. This is probably the most direct and immediate impact of FDI. You can think of it as a huge financial shot in the arm for the host country's economy. And this shows you exactly how that money flows through the system. So, a foreign company brings in a ton of cash to build something new, say a factory. That's step one. Then, once that factory is up and running, it starts paying corporate taxes to the host government. And what happens to all that new tax money? Well, it gets pumped right back into public services. We're talking better schools, new hospitals, upgraded roads, all without having to raise taxes on local citizens. It's a huge win.
Okay, so let's move on to our second pillar because this is where it really starts to build. We're talking about employment and human capital. FDI isn't just about money and buildings, it's about people.
Now check this out. This chart from the International Labor Organization reveals something pretty incredible called the employment multiplier. It shows that for every single job created directly inside that new factory, about 2 more jobs are created in the local economy around it. That's the local company supplying parts, the trucking firm moving the goods, even the little cafe that opens up down the street to feed the workers. The ripple effect is just massive.
But it's not just about the number of jobs. That's what this quote gets at. The real game changer is the quality of the skills local workers pick up. They're getting trained on advanced machinery, learning world-class quality control. This is what economists call human capital, and it's a permanent upgrade to the local workforce's skill set. Those skills stick around, even if the foreign company eventually leaves.
All right, our third pillar. Now this one's a little more abstract, but honestly, it might be the most powerful long-term benefit of all: technology and knowledge spillover. This is where a real transformation can kick in.
It all starts with something called the demonstration effect. Okay, just picture this. You're a local company and you've been doing things the same way for like 30 years. Suddenly, a super efficient global powerhouse sets up shop right next door. Just by watching them operate, you're pretty much forced to learn, adapt, and get better just to stay in the game.
And that knowledge spreads in a few key ways. First, local firms start to copy the better, more efficient processes. Then you have skilled local workers who got trained at the big multinational. Well, eventually they leave and start their own companies, taking all that valuable know-how with them. The end result? The bar for the entire industry just gets lifted higher.
Which brings us to our final pillar, where everything kind of comes together for the average person: exports and market competition. This is about shaking up the local market in the best way possible.
So think about what a market often looks like before a big foreign player enters. A lot of the time, it's dominated by just a couple of local companies, maybe even a single monopoly. And with no real competition, there's not much reason for them to offer low prices or great service, right?
And then, bam, the whole market gets a shakeup. A perfect example of this is the cell phone industry in a lot of developing countries. Before, you might have had one state-owned company with terrible service and crazy high prices. After FDI was allowed in, new international firms jumped in. Competition exploded, and suddenly prices dropped, service got better, and everybody benefited. That's a direct win for you, the consumer. So let's just recap. Foreign direct investment acts as this incredible catalyst. It injects a country with vital capital. It creates a ton of direct and indirect jobs. It transfers advanced technology and know-how. And finally, it boosts competition and plugs the host country into the global market.
The evidence is pretty clear that a country is almost always better off with FDI than without it. But that leaves us with a really big, important question to think about. With all these amazing benefits, what kind of rules do we need to put in place to make sure that the prosperity this investment creates is actually shared fairly by everyone in that society?